Welcome to Becoming Spiritual, a podcast about the magic that surrounds us and has always been a part of us. I'm your host, Heather Dolan, a passionate seeker dedicated to bringing together beautiful humans who are doing amazing things in this world. Together, we will explore healing modalities and practical spiritual practices that can enrich your everyday life. We will also hear stories of awakenings, many from people in the corporate world who have broken out of the spiritual closet. Wherever you are in your journey, know you have found a community of open-hearted individuals committed to making themselves and our world a better place. Welcome home.
Welcome back to Becoming Spiritual. I'm Natalie, the producer of the show, and I'm here because Heather is currently taking a little time out after the amazing retreat that happened over the weekend, Ley Lines of Your Spirit. She's off on a little integration break, and so we thought it would be a really cool opportunity to share an interview that Heather did recently with Barbara Savin, the host of the Spiritual Warrior Coach podcast. The episode is called The Sacred Pivot: When Spiritual Awakening Leads to a New Career Path. It's a really interesting interview because Heather speaks a lot about her professional experience helping to guide people through the process of job loss and career transition. And it's not something that we often get to hear her go into detail about on Becoming Spiritual because she's so focused on bringing other people's stories to the table. However, it's quite a beautiful discussion and a really nice way to get to know Heather a bit more deeply. She and Barbara also discuss the concept of the spiritual closet and talk about the reasons why it can be so challenging and even scary to be our real, true selves, whether that's at work or in other areas of our lives. So we both hope you enjoy the episode. I know that Heather is really looking forward to returning and sharing more about her amazing experience hosting the retreat with you all soon. But until then, I encourage you to listen and subscribe to Barbara's podcast, the Spiritual Warrior Coach podcast. We look forward to having Barbara as a guest on the podcast in the future as well. All of the details for her podcast will be in the show notes. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome to the Spiritual Warrior Coach podcast. This is a sacred space where healing begins, intuition awakens, and your spirit remembers its power. I'm your host, Barbara Savin, author, energy healing specialist, hypnotherapist, and spiritual life coach. For over 35 years, I've guided thousands of souls to protect their energy, trust their intuition, and step into their most empowered self. I invite you to join me for heartfelt conversations, spiritual insights, and gentle practices that nurture your soul and inspire your daily life. And together, we'll explore how to rise above negativity, trust your inner wisdom, and embrace the truth of who you are, a divine, radiant being of love and strength. So take a breath, settle in, and know you are not alone on this journey. You are loved. You are supported, and you are more powerful than you've ever been told. So let's rise together and join me now as your host. Well, welcome, my beautiful souls, to the Spiritual Warrior Coach podcast. I'm your host, Barbara Savin, and today we're diving into a conversation that's all about awakening, new beginnings, and trusting the deeper call of your soul. My guest today is Heather Dolan. She is someone who truly walks the bridge between the practical and the spiritual. And for over 15 years, she's helped people navigate career and life transitions, reminding us that even endings can become powerful beginnings. And she's also the host of the podcast, Becoming Spiritual, where she creates a safe, welcoming space for people to explore their spiritual awakening and step out of what she lovingly calls the spiritual closet. And today's conversation is all about listening to your inner wisdom, honoring your journey, and giving yourself permission to grow into who you're becoming. So welcome, Heather, to the show today. I'm so honored that you're here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
So how did this all come about for you, walking into, your new light into the world?
Yeah, good question. I feel like many of us who now, when we look back at our journeys, realize there were so many little breadcrumbs and seeds that were planted
Mhm.
long ago. And so it's hard to almost pinpoint where it started. I can't say that I'm one of those people that can say when they were, 5 or 6 years old, they remember, spirits coming into their room or their, grandfather who had transitioned talking to them all the time. And I don't have those types of memories, but there certainly were lots of signs that led me to different healers over the years where I was questioning a lot of for instance, like Western medicine or techniques and would seek out alternatives. And so that just felt natural to me. So I feel like it started then, a couple decades ago, and it has just continued to evolve. And of course, like many during the beginning of the pandemic, that was like the true kind of awakening where everything just fell away. And it was, time to really step into who I am fully.
So is this what you do on a full-time basis? Or do you have another position?
Yep. So I like to say I've got my 3D job, which is I work for a consulting firm where we help those who have lost their jobs transition from, it's a very big life change. One of life's biggest changes is losing your job. And so I've been working at that firm for almost 16 years. So that's like my quote unquote day job. And I like to think I kind of shepherd people through this, time that can be really dark and try to help them see some light and see the possibility and really reframe what could be a loss into something that they could really gain for their next chapter. So I do that by day. And then I have my spiritual podcast that I record, as often as I can. I would love to do it more, but because I have that full-time job and I also have 3 kids and my
Oh.
husband and all kinds of other obligations. So I do as much as I can, but I do a lot of work just myself in terms of my daily practices and some classes and communities that I'm a part of to help myself stay grounded and really continue to learn and grow and transform and all the things.
So you help people that have lost their jobs. Yeah, that I tell you, it's devastating. I know I lost mine.
Oh,
I
wow.
worked at the Four Seasons Hotel for I think just about 15 years. COVID struck, and then the California Health Longevity Institute went out of business, and
Oh,
I
wow.
found myself out of a job. And I was depressed for a while there. And I said, no, there has to be something bigger that has now come to play for me. And then I ended up meeting someone, another a healer. And then we opened a center together. And then the clients that I had there came to see me at my new facility. And the nice thing about it was I was able to make my own hours. So
Right.
in a
There's
way, yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Mhm.
the thing is we know if we're not truly on the path we're meant to be or what is for our best and highest good,
Mhm.
the universe will push us in ways that we many times don't want to be pushed. And at the time we don't actually know exactly what we need. It's most of the time what we need, but it's not exactly how or the way we would want it to happen. And so yeah. So as I'm working with people, that's the story so many times when they're on the other side of it. They're grateful, but in the moment, it's devastating and it's difficult. And so, yeah, so I really honor the work that we do to help people.
So how do you see like career transitions as potential spiritual turning points then?
So I just think kind of what you said, I wonder for you if that hadn't have happened, if you hadn't have lost that job, if you would have opened your own center or place. And so, we get really comfortable and we get so comfortable in our day to day, even if it's uncomfortable and we're not happy. And so it's really difficult to make a change. And losing your job is a massive change, but I find it's usually a catalyst to something usually better for individuals. And so I see it as an opportunity for people to, even if it's just grounding themselves in gratitude every day as they're slogging, trying to get interviews or conversations, some of those practices that really ground us and open us up from a spiritual perspective, open our heart space to just either have different perspectives, see things differently. like I said, practice gratitude. Sometimes it's even making space. A lot of us don't have any spaciousness in our day anymore because we're just so busy all the time. And so I find that a lot of times when you do lose your job, you all of a sudden have space to maybe dream a little bit. We're not taught to dream anymore. Kids are scolded for daydreaming. And we need to be able to dream and write or just think or walk outside and connect with nature. And so I feel like when you lose your job, you're given some spaciousness and it can open up a lot.
Well, that's the truth, because then I sat down and said, all right, now that I do not have a paycheck coming in, what is my next step? And yet, when I lived back east in Brooklyn, I was an independent, and I did work for other, companies every now and then when they needed a healer. But yeah, working in a full-time job was a lot different when you lose it. And it gives you a feeling of deep loss. And then you sit back and you say, gee, well, who really am I? What should I do now? So when people go through this, and I know, like for me, I've been through it. How do you help them start to open themselves and see that there are new possibilities, and for them to, you could say, just grab those possibilities without having that depressed feeling?
It's a journey. And because I'm not the coach that works with the clients week to week, I do a lot in the beginning. Like when the impact first happens, is helping them, I think, right away start to maybe reimagine or imagine what this time could be versus feeling stuck and, oh my gosh, this is going to be terrible. Because everyone knows someone who's lost a job or is looking for a job and hears the stories of it's so hard and 150 people apply for a role within 10 minutes of it being posted, and I'm never going to get a job. And so we take on a lot of those stories. And so I feel like part of my job, and even just meeting clients initially, is to help unwind some of that stuff and really give hope. I see myself as I bring hope to people to say, this is a time of possibility. And if they can just change their perspective a little bit. And sometimes it's as simple as saying, what do you want to do next? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, what have you wanted to do that maybe you haven't gotten to do? Or think about maybe starting to write down. People always say to me, oh, I know exactly what I don't want to do. And I'm tell them, great. That's an amazing place to start, because the more you know what you don't want to do, it's just going to keep moving you closer to what it is you actually do want to do. And so that can be just as valuable, even though people might see it as I'm complaining or I'm limiting my options. I see it as you're moving towards the path that you're meant to be on, because all those things, if you really hate them, we know if it's not lighting you up, then it's not where you're meant to be. So I think sometimes it's really simple, practical, just questioning, or maybe having people try to open up, I call it like opening up the aperture of what they're looking at, of don't be so kind of narrow-minded of thinking I can only do this one thing because that's all I've ever done. And we're so multifaceted. So, there's no reason to think just because you did this one thing that's all you are. That's what, kind of what society's told you or you've been paid to do. But so I think it's me. I'm just, as seeds have been planted in my life, it's me helping people have those seeds planted when sometimes I think they can't see it at first.
Oh, well, yeah, you definitely can. I know from myself again, I took the time to say, all right, besides doing energy work and hypnosis and spiritual counseling, what else in my heart would I feel passionate about? And it was creating a podcast. And that's how my podcast came about.
That's amazing.
I had all this time now on my hands.
See, and look what was
Yeah.
birthed from it. So perfect. You are a beautiful example of that. Yep.
Yeah, you have to just trust. You have to
Yep.
trust in the process. I know
Yeah.
it's hard to trust, but we really need to trust it and tell us, all right, this is just temporary. This will pass.
Yep. Absolutely.
So let me ask you, what actually inspired you to launch, your podcast, Becoming Spiritual?
It was a very clear message I was given that this was my next direction. So I had started writing a book during the pandemic, and it was about job search, because I felt like there were so many books out there that tell you, or, now you Google it or look on, AI is going to feed up a million ways to write a resume or to respond to this note or to prep for an interview. But there was nothing out there that I know of, at least in my almost 16 years in this space, of advice like what I was giving to clients of how you could actually take this time and do things for yourself, whether that's journaling, build your community, be inspired by things that you love to do. Just kind of general advice that I would give. And I just didn't see that anywhere. So I was writing this book, and I got probably halfway done and um, had it edited. And I was a little disheartened with all the edits, and it wasn't going in the direction that I wanted. And what it was, what I realize now, but at the time I didn't understand, was that it was not openly spiritual. I was trying to be really sneaky. I called it like being sneaky spiritual, where I was trying to throw in like
Uh-huh.
spiritual concepts or even gratitude. Like, I mean, it technically isn't a spiritual concept. I mean, everyone can have gratitude no matter what, but planting those seeds of like practicing gratitude every day and those kinds of concepts, I was afraid because the book was written for mid to senior level executives, or you would say more white collar professionals, was kind of the audience that the book was initially written for. That it wasn't outwardly all of me, kind of with my full mask off, and I was hiding a little bit. And I thought, okay, well, if I could put it this way, maybe people will read it. And the message that came to me after I kind of decided to shelve it was, no, it's just not the time, because it's supposed to be full blown, come step into fully who you are as an individual during this time and embrace this time for all these reasons we've already talked about. So it got shelved, and I was struggling with, well, if I thought the book was kind of my next thing, and then I got the message of, it's actually using my voice, which I thought my voice was going to be used in the book. And it's actually, no, my voice from a frequency perspective needs to be out in the world. And podcast was,
Yes.
the quickest way to do that. And so it was a call. And so I honored that. And I thought, okay, I don't know anything about podcasting. I know nothing. My husband has a YouTube channel, but him and my oldest daughter kind of work on that together. And I know they spend so much time, and I'm like, no, I don't have the time for that. I don't want to invest this time. What can I do? And everything lined up so quickly and easily. Where my producer Natalie, who's a friend, she's in Australia, was like, I can help you with the podcast. She takes care of everything and makes it so simple. And I just get the joy of recording and meeting amazing people. And when things align that quickly and easily, it's part of the path, and that's what it's been for me. So
So do you feel it's sort of like stepping out of the spiritual closet for you?
yeah, it was kind of the final opening. Like I had been open for a while, but it definitely was like my full public debut. So people who didn't know me in that way in the corporate world, I
Uh-huh.
work in with big companies, and people always knew that I had that side, but I think not to the extent. And so then when they hear me talking about, Akashic records, or, quantum healing, or, whatever it might be, mediumship, all the things, they're like, oh my gosh, wow, like this, that I don't understand some of it, but it's amazing and good for
But
you. And
that's
they're
yeah.
happy. So, yeah, so it's been a fun journey. We're coming up on a year. We're recording the end of February. So it'll be mid-March will be my podcast anniversary.
Well, congratulations.
So thank you. Thank you.
What about the book? Are you still writing the book and
I'm
putting your
not.
word? No?
So
Okay.
it's still there. It's waiting. I think
Mhm.
it's funny. It keeps kind of coming into my field a little bit. So I feel like maybe it's revving up a little bit for me to come back. And I know I've got some good bones in terms of the structure, but
Mhm.
it definitely needs to be rewritten with my full authentic voice. So I know it'll be a bit of a process, and so I'm kind of trying to figure out from a timing perspective what that looks like.
Oh, yeah, and it's right spiritual timing. It will be born. That's for
Yes.
sure.
Yes. For sure. For sure. We know
Mhm.
it's a good time for creative projects to be birthed. So who knows?
Mhm.
Maybe we'll see.
Okay. All right. Well, let me ask, why do you think so many people feel hesitant to openly, you could say, explore or share their spiritual side? Because I know a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah. I think it's fear. It's fear of judgment, which I think
Mhm.
fear is at the root of most of how all of us, whether we aren't our full authentic selves or just feel like we can't fully be ourselves around people, which I think is why, still people drink because they're fearful of, dancing and being silly themselves. So, they get some liquid courage or whatever it might be, just kind of thinking of something I used to do a lot of, in my past. And so I feel like, um, this is just a good time for all of us to be stepping into who we are and being unapologetic about that. But you can also, for some, I know it can be scary to really show up fully. And I have to be honest, I don't know if I talk to lots of people and I'm pretty open about myself and my spirituality and podcasts and all those things. But there's definitely people close to me who have never asked, and it's not something that I also put on them either. So I
Mhm.
never want someone to think I'm trying to, change their beliefs or judge anything. So I want to be really, um, I guess I want to honor that with people that if they're ready and they want to ask me something, I'm happy to respond or have a conversation. But at the same time, I think most people are just fearful. And
Love it.
whether that's to be seen or, I'm sure and all the work you do, we have so many wounds. We come into this existence with wounds and things that we're carrying. We have things from childhood, and so it's a lot of fear of being fully seen or thinking people are going to judge us and think we're crazy. And especially when you're in the corporate world, it can be really difficult to say, okay, yeah, I went to a great sound bath and was drumming, under the moon this
Yes.
weekend, and people are like, what? Like, what,
Crazy.
and
Mhm.
and so, I think that's changing though, where people are, a lot of people would be like, oh my gosh, cool. Like, how can I come to that drum circle? But I think
Mhm.
for a lot of people still, it's like, wait, what did you do? And why? Like, that's weird. So,
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that because when I was a regional sales director for General Nutrition Centers, supervised over a few hundred employees. And when I would visit my stores, I would always give them positive affirmations. I would always think positive, do the best you can. And they would look at me like my head was screwed on a little bag. But it's funny now, we're talking many, many years. Occasionally they do find me again and they
mm,
tell me because of what you said to me many, many, many years ago, that has changed my life. I didn't think about it then, but now it has. So it's just about planting those seeds into
yeah,
someone's mind there that
yeah.
hopefully will grow into something, beautiful.
Yep. Yeah, it's like the activation that we don't even know happens, and it's beautiful if someone comes to you and actually shares that, because a
Mhm.
lot of times I think we have no idea how we're impacting people with our energy or just a kind smile or whatever it might be, and it all matters. It all adds up. Just even holding the door for someone and being polite might change that person's day, and then it's the ripple that affects the life and then our collective.
Well, it's funny because when I used to, walk around New York City,
Mhm.
um, I would always tell myself, just smile to that person passing you by. And I
Yeah.
would smile and they would, in New York, no one
Yeah.
pays attention practically, but people would look, and then smile back. And it's something so simple. And just you want to make somebody else's day brighter.
Yep. And it's funny, I have done kind of social experiments for, as we were talking about, I work in the city and I was up with my oldest daughter over the summer to see a show. And I make eye contact, which is one of the first things when you're going to New York. It's like, don't look at anyone in the eye. Don't, kind of avoid. You never know if someone's going to
Mhm,
freak out on you. And I just don't live in that vibration anymore. I
mhm.
used to be that person who was heads down on the subway. I'd be on my phone or just looking away from people. And so many times I know people just want to be seen. They
Yes.
want to be acknowledged. And so I'm not afraid to look at people and say hello and smile and get in an elevator and say good morning. And people are caught off guard, but at the same time, I think it's trying to inspire people to say we're not all, trying to avoid eye contact, and it could change someone's day. And so I did do that quite a bit when I was with my daughter, and I wanted her to kind of see how you can change things. And she said to me, she's like, I've never seen so many people be so nice in New York.
Nice. Well,
She's like, what's the difference? And I said, it's
but they
just,
are
I
nice
said,
people.
they're reflecting back to me what I'm
Yes,
putting out in the world. And I
exactly.
said, I'm magnetizing
Mhm,
also what I want in my field. And so I do believe, and it shifted everything because I used to come back from New York. It still is, very dense energy. And I'd come home and just be completely drained and sometimes in a really bad mood. And I was taking so much with me
mhm.
when I left. And now it's very different. Like the energy when I go, I see things really differently now. And it does, it's changed me. And I hope it helps maybe shift some other people.
Well, that's it. And I know, for myself, when I go into stores and I'm with my husband, and all of a sudden, you say, "Oh, have a good day. Thank you for holding the door," and you start just chatting, and he'll say, "Do you know that person?" "No, I don't know that person." He's, "Oh my God, you're just so chatty." It's not being chatty. It's being kind. It's showing that people do care about other people.
Yep. Yeah. It's just connecting as humans.
Yeah.
Like so many times I think, especially when I'm on the subway and um I can see some people are avoiding or probably, might not have spoken to someone in a while. And I feel like even if I don't verbally talk to them, I am sending them love. I'm
Love
sending
light.
them energy, just peace sometimes. Sometimes it's healing. But it like I can feel it makes a difference. And I see with even just how the people look at me, whether they say something or not, I know that it's making a difference for them and we're connecting on a different level, and that's what matters.
So let me ask, getting back to hosting your podcast,
Uh-huh.
do you feel that it helped you with your courage and being vulnerable?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I've now done 2 episodes on a big surgery that I had, which I thought was really important to share. So I had breast implants removed. And that was just a little over a year ago. And the journey of that from a spiritual perspective, from a physical perspective, mental health. I mean, I've just had so many powerful learnings from that surgery and that whole process. And um, not to mention, all the physical healing, but also I think the emotional. And so I don't know if it gets much more vulnerable talking about, your boobs on a podcast.
Yeah, well, that's being very vulnerable. Yes.
So yeah, and just yeah, leaning into that. And I know, sharing my story and having another guest who she was also at the surgery center the same day and had her implants removed. And she's a nutritionist and health coach, and her sharing her story, my hope is that by sharing those stories, it helps other women who might be suffering or feeling disempowered or that they don't have support, that there's a place to get information and to know that there is healing available. So it's definitely vulnerable, and I've had some other big kind of things happen recently that I told my husband, I was like, there will be a podcast about this. I was like, it's going to be out there, although it's going to be very uncomfortable for me. But I said, I know there's so many lessons and kind of some big things that have, things I've shed and released and really manifested to happen. But again, a lot of times it doesn't happen in the way we think it's going to happen. It can be painful. And so I want to be able to share those lessons with other people because I'm human and I'm having, even you can be the most enlightened spiritual being and we're all still going through it. We're here to learn lessons. So it's definitely a place for me to share and be vulnerable. And I think it just hopefully helps other people feel, you know, able to be safe or seen in the world too.
Well, and they see the honesty and they feel, well, wow, if she can talk about that,
Yeah.
and that's so personal,
Hmm.
you know,
For sure.
you then I guess there's more of a feeling of trusting you.
Yeah. And I'm a pretty open person.
Mhm.
It's funny. I used to say I'm not sure why people tell me what they tell me, but especially in this job, I'm talking to people who have lost their jobs, and a lot of times and we used to meet with people in person right after they lost their job. So imagine you're notified that you're losing your job, and then you walk into a room with me sitting there or one of my colleagues, where now we're going to talk to you just to see how you're doing and try to just share a little bit, hopefully, of hope with you. And it could be, difficult walking into that space and having those conversations, but it would really allow people, it did feel like there was this instant trust, and people would start telling me all kinds of stuff and like really personal things, and crying and feeling like, I don't know why I'm telling you this, but I
Yeah.
just feel like I should. So I used to say, for some reason, people seem to open up to me, and I'm like, I don't know if that's good or bad. Now I see it as, a positive, because
Yes.
they feel safe, which,
Hmm.
I like to honor that in people. But it can be really emotional too, though, for me. Like I got teary-eyed today talking to a client, and wasn't even telling me a sad story. Just he's older and he wants to keep working and is feeling really lonely because he misses the community of his office. And I
Hmm.
just, had I was feeling his pain a bit. It's difficult when you're an empath to be in this job sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you feel, I know people, like for myself, I'll be 78 this year, and
Wow.
people tell
You
me,
look amazing.
well, thank you. I think
Oh
it's
my
all the
gosh.
healing work, and it's
I'm
good
sure it
genes
is.
also.
That's amazing.
And I have friends that tell me, when are you going to retire? And I say, I don't think that'll ever happen.
Yeah.
Because if you love something that you do, why would you step away from it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, what would you tell? It's like here, like for me,
Hmm.
what would say if I came to you and said, "Well, I've been doing healing for like 45 years, and
Uh-huh.
maybe I should step away." Even though I
I
have the
just,
podcast and everything else, what would you tell someone?
yeah. I
That
just
maybe.
had this conversation today too with the same person, actually, who's, he's almost 70, and he kind of had that plan of, okay, I'll stay a couple more years and then
Yeah.
I'll retire. And what I've told clients is just, you could live another 30 years. Like, what are you going to do with your life? And that doesn't mean you have to work per se in the way that this structure and, patriarchal structure has told us we have to work. It should be doing something that you love to do. And if you're lucky enough to do work that you're paid for, that you absolutely love to do, then by God, you've hit the jackpot. Because in theory, you could, keep doing it until you don't want to do it anymore, until it doesn't align with you, or if it's taking a physical toll on you, then of course you have to think about that. Or if there's dreams that you still want to live out, then you should go do those things. But at the same time, I think, realistically, as we live longer, just having some type of age limit, just to have an age limit, seems
Right.
silly. It should be,
Mhm.
what do you feel is right? Because then there's people who retire from work at 50 because they're like, I'm done with this rat race and I'm going to go do something else. And we see people going to, Hawaii, and they never come back because they, just go and open up a surf shack on the beach, or because they're doing something they love. So
They
it doesn't
love.
feel like work.
Right.
So
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing, is that we do find something that we love. And what would you say to someone that doesn't love their job? I mean, there's a lot of people out there that I know that I see some, oh, I hate my job. Well, then figure out something else do you like to do. But then of course, they can't quit because they need the money to support their family.
mhm.
That's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And sometimes people do. And they're like, I can't be here anymore. And their mental health is taking a toll, their physical health. I mean, the physical problems that people experience, especially I feel like before job loss, it's like they know that it's time to go, but they can't go on their own and kind of cut that cord. And so I think a lot of times it's if you can't leave your job, that's okay. But what are you doing to start dreaming to make space for what's next for you? So maybe it's not in this moment, but how are you planning and planting those seeds to plan for what you do want to do? And so are there little things every day you could be doing to help you, even if it's 5 minutes to take, everyone has 5 minutes. Put down your phone, don't open up social media, take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and start writing down even just what do you love to do? And maybe you just start moving towards that. Maybe in free time, you start being more intentional with your time and how you're spending it. If you love being in nature, and I had a friend who was joking, she wants to open up like a animal sanctuary, and leave the kind of rat race of New York. And I was joking with her and sent a text and said, okay, like when are you opening the animal sanctuary? She's like, oh, I wish. And I'm like, don't wish,
Don't wish.
create. You can create and just start, if that's really something, that's on your heart, then whether that's you start to foster an animal, or maybe you just go to visit animal sanctuaries just to see what that's like. Or I think we all have more time than we think we do. And I'm very guilty of saying I didn't have time to do this or that. We just use our time in ways that really don't serve us. And so if you can really take a look at your day and figure, how can I carve out a couple of minutes to just dream a little bit, write a little bit, think about, oh my gosh, if I didn't have this job, what would I be doing right now? And I guarantee most people would have something that they would like to be doing. And to me, that's a hint. That's a little light in you that's saying, okay, maybe you could figure out a way to do this, or maybe you do a yoga teacher training, or you teach a class on a weekend or a nighttime, or you just gather some people together and talk about something that lights you up to make that day job maybe a little bit more manageable because you have other things you're doing. So I don't think it necessarily has to be an either or. I think it can be an and, of kind of marrying things that you aspire to do or might want to do with what maybe you feel like you have to do now.
Yeah, sometimes we just
I think
need to
dreaming's big.
dream. Yeah, I have a thing over here that says dreams do come true, because
Mhm.
they do. If you can dream it, you can make it into reality. It's just how you look at it.
Yep. We are powerful, powerful creators. And I think we forget that we have come here to create. And like you said, now is the time. We just entered this brand new cycle, and it is a time of creativity and femininity, and to really reclaim our power and who we are. And so I think we're going to see tremendous shifts in society and how we spend our time and how we earn money and consume and all of those things.
Yeah, we just have to just know that we can do it. We can do anything we set our minds to do. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely. We can, for
Yep.
sure.
I mean, I wrote 3 books, and I put my mind to it. I said I was going to do this. Yeah, it may have taken me quite a while to do it, but I did it. And I have a feeling your book is just about you doing it.
I
You'll,
know. I
you'll
feel the
do
fact you asked me about it. It's like,
it.
okay, maybe I'm supposed to be writing again.
Yeah,
So,
I think so. But
yeah.
you'll know when it's the right time. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, I'm co-hosting my first retreat, which I never thought I would do. And so that's coming up in May. So I'm working on that right now. So I kind of feel like maybe there's some things that are planted there for me, and maybe some spaciousness to create and figure out, yeah, if writing, what that might look like. So we'll see.
What kind of retreat? And where is it going to be located?
Yeah, it's going to be in Belle Vista, Arkansas, which is kind of a strange place if you think about. No
Uh-huh.
one probably dreams about going to Arkansas, but that's why it's there. So it's in the Ozark Mountains, and so my friend Crystal, who I'm co-hosting it with, did a retreat there this past fall, and just said I saw it. I couldn't go to it because I had a work trip and I wasn't able to attend, but I was so drawn to it when I saw the location. It's on a lake, and
Wow.
in this big lodge on a lake, and there is a bed of crystalline energy, and there's a lot of ley lines that run through there. And so my friend Crystal, which is ironic, Crystal and
Uh-huh.
crystal energy there,
Uh-huh.
not ironic, a synchronicity. And
Mhm.
she had channeled information that spirit wanted more people to come to this area because it was really special, and especially in the mountain area of this lake and the community. And so having a retreat there would be a way to kind of bring more people to the area. And so her and I had connected, and just I was like, we're supposed to do a retreat together, and she was like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
So we kind of just decided to do one and go back there. So yeah, so I curate a lot of events in my day job for communities that I've built. And so for me, I've always been someone that if I want to, I like doing things, not that from a control perspective of I like doing things my way. I like to be really thoughtful and intentional when I create something. And so many times when I step into other spaces, I'm thinking like, oh, it'd be nice, like this would be a nice touch. Or if people felt, they could warm up a little bit more. If this was my event, I would be, trying to help people get to know each other, or have some ideas of, how to introduce people in a fun way, or, whatever it might be. I always have lots of ideas. And so I end up kind of doing my own thing so I could have those ideas come true. And so that was kind of this of thinking like, well, if I could do a retreat, what would it look like? And Crystal's an amazing healer. We both do Reiki, but she's going to do a sound bath. We're going to do cacao ceremony. It's on Beltane. So it's on May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So it's a full moon and Beltane. And so we're going to do some honoring with the earth and meditation journeys, QHHT. We might have someone now come and do yoga. So there's going to be lots of nature, lots of spaciousness. So we're kind of curating it. So the morning has a lot of kind of the spiritual work, and then the afternoon will be free time, or we're going to curate activities, and anyone who wants to join can join, or if they want to go out on a boat on the lake, or go swimming, or just walk in the forest, or lay around and get some sun, or go take a nap, there will be opportunity for everyone to do that. And if they want to come together with us, we're going to do fire ceremonies in the evening, and just yeah, my goal is some spaciousness and community. So
It's going to be a beautiful event. I can feel it.
thank you. I hope so.
Very
So
spiritual. Yeah, very spiritual,
yeah,
very open, very heart-centered.
yes, for sure. That is
Mhm.
something we both feel really strongly about, and we know whoever's meant to gather will join us. And yeah, so we have six spots left. We're trying to keep it kind of small and manageable as our first outing. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm excited for it. So,
Okay, well, we'll put that all in the show notes.
well,
So this
thank
way,
you.
yes,
I
I'd be more than
appreciate
happy.
it. Yeah,
So,
we would love to welcome whoever feels the call and feels like they're meant to be there.
mhm.
Then
Then they will
you'll get there.
come. Yeah, that's for
Exactly.
sure. Believe me. So,
Yep.
boy, this has been a great conversation. Heather, where can people find you and get a hold of you?
Yeah, thank you. So I have um we're going to be relaunching our website. It's really just been a website for the podcast. So it's becomingspiritual.me. There is a link to all of our episodes there. There is a retreat link now for the retreat. So that information is there. And then we'll be publishing more from I guess you would say, crossing my personal professional boundary and merging it all into one, where I'll start putting things out on LinkedIn as well. I do have my podcast on my LinkedIn page, but it's Heather Dolan on LinkedIn, and trying to kind of really bring together my corporate and my personal spiritual worlds, and be able to serve people in all of the ways, whether it's from a professional perspective or personal. So yeah, so I have the podcast website, and I'm on social media, Becoming Spiritual, on Facebook and Instagram and all those things. So YouTube,
Everywhere.
everywhere. I don't
That's
do
what
any of it.
that's what you
Natalie
should
does
do.
all of it.
Well,
I don't do
yeah, no,
anything.
we have people to help us.
Exactly.
Yeah, we cannot do it all, that's for sure.
I'm trying to walk my walk and talk my talk, and not get too lost in the social media
Mhm.
um darkness, because I feel
Yeah.
like it can really suck us in. And there is lots of light on there, and I'm grateful for
Mhm.
how it connects a lot of us, but we have to be really careful just with our time, because our time, as I said, trying to create spaciousness and time to do things we want to do. Scrolling is not, top of my list. So I'm trying to be really good about that.
Yeah, well, I commend you for that,
So,
believe
yeah,
me.
thank you. It's
Good
not
for
easy.
you.
I'm not
No,
saying
it's
I
not
am far
easy.
from perfect.
Yeah. I always tell everyone, put that phone down, because once, all these minutes or half hour or hour passes, you
Gone.
cannot get that time back. So
Nope.
use it wisely because we don't know what it'll be later.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Yep. Well
um,
said.
well, Heather, thank you so much for sharing your heart and your wisdom and
You.
your beautiful journey with us today. And uh, your message about seeing new beginnings where we once saw endings is such a powerful reminder for all of us. And of course, to my beautiful listeners, if something in today's conversation stirred your soul, I invite you to sit with it, journal about it, or simply take a quiet walk in nature and allow it to integrate. Your path is unfolding in perfect timing, even when it doesn't feel that way. So, if you enjoyed this podcast and this episode, please, remember to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who might need a little extra light right now. So, until next time, sending everybody lots of love, light, and healing. Love, Barbara.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your precious day to listen to our podcast. If this episode resonated with you, we would love for you to share it with someone you love. That would mean the world to us. Also, if you feel called, please follow our show so you will know when a new episode drops. If you want to go one step further, you can even rate this episode as it allows our podcast to find its way to others. Lastly, we've done our best to share resources that you might find helpful in the show notes, whether that's a book recommendation or a website we referenced during the episode, a free resource, or more information on a guest who took their time to speak with us and share their knowledge. We would love for you to support their work too. You can find more information on our podcast website at becomingspiritual.me. We love you and can't wait for you to hear the next episode. Until then, know you have a place where you are welcome and you are loved. Welcome home.